Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honourable colleagues, I've risen on a number of occasions to highlight the important role that our farmers, producers and processors play in ensuring Canadians have access to safe, nutritious and affordable food. Many of these operations are small businesses operated by families across the country, and they, along with small locally owned businesses in other sectors, have continually risen to the challenge of serving Canadians, especially and including over the past 15 difficult months. I have no doubt that it will be these same small businesses that will help us climb out of the pandemic hole going forward. Today, I rise at third reading to speak to Bill C-208, an act to amend the Income Tax Act concerning the transfer of small businesses or family farm or fishing corporation. As you might expect, I will speak in support of the bill. At this time, I would like to commend the Member of Parliament for Brandon Souris, Mr. Larry Maguire, for bringing this bill forward in the other place, and my Canadian Senators Group colleague, Senator Griffin, for sponsoring this bill in the Red Chamber. It is an honour getting to work alongside my colleague, Senator Griffin, both in the Agriculture Committee and as a member of the CSG leadership team. We are indeed a great group of non-partisan senators. The issues that Bill C-208 addresses have been on the minds of Canadians from across the country for some time now. Whether you operate a small family farm in Red Deer County, Alberta, own an independent grocery store in Fergus, Ontario, or a fishing corporation in Lower Baddeck, PEI, small businesses are very familiar with the issues they currently face when selling their business to a family member. In fact, just last week, my sister-in-law, Rita, asked about the progress of this particular bill. Colleagues, it is clear that Canadians are paying very close attention to what we are working on in this chamber. I am hopeful that with this knowledge, we can work together to ensure that we do our utmost to continue serving and supporting this great country. With that, I'd like to return to the matter at hand, Bill C-208. This legislation, if passed, would allow small businesses, family farms and family fishing corporations the same tax rate when selling their operations to a family member as they would if they sold to a third party. As many of you may know, under the current regulations, when a person sells their small business to a family member, the difference between the sale price and the original price is considered to be a dividend. However, if the business is sold to a non-family member, the sale is considered a capital gain. And a capital gain is taxed at a much lower rate and also allows the seller to use the lifetime capital gains exemption. Honourable colleagues, I know we come from a wide variety of backgrounds. We are former public servants, journalists, doctors, lawyers, athletes, and business owners, among many other things. However, regardless of where we come from, I believe we can all agree that it is completely unacceptable that it is more financially advantageous for a parent to sell to their small business to an absolute stranger than it is to their own children, should they desire. I was born in and still reside in Fergus, Ontario, and Fergus is a small but expanding community in Wellington County. One of the best things about growing up in a small community is knowing the ins and outs of the area and the businesses that support it. As we've all learned during this pandemic, it is the small businesses that are the very backbone of our communities. Right now, I'm thinking of Freybert's Fresh Food, a family-run market in Fergus that specializes in locally sourced gourmet food, and Ron Wilkin Jewelers, also in Fergus, where I spent many after-school and summer hours in one of my very first off-farm summer jobs. Likewise, I'm sure many of you are imagining similar small locally owned business that serve you in your communities. Businesses like Freybert's, Ron Wilkin Jewelers, and countless others across Canada are what makes our communities feel like home. Unfortunately, under the current regulations, it is much more difficult to maintain a sustainably operated family business. We know that many small businesses are struggling at present. This pandemic has been one of the most disruptive periods in our lifetime. No sector, no community has been immune from its impact. In many cases, it's the small businesses, local entrepreneurs, and organizations that have borne the economic brunt of this crisis. However, Bill C-208 would allow the next generation to become owners and to keep those businesses locally owned. Farms and small businesses from across the country have already issued their support of this bill, in addition to widespread support from organizations from around the country, including the Ontario Federation of Agriculture, the Canadian Federation of Agriculture, Grain Growers of Canada, the Canadian Canola Growers Association, and the Canadian Federation of Independent Business. Further, tax managers from Deloitte also support this legislation. It is clear that the bill provides support to the businesses that need it most. Honourable colleagues, you know that my focus lies in agriculture, so I will take this opportunity to speak very briefly and directly to the impacts Bill C-208 has on Canada's agriculture sector. Every year, more and more farmers approach retirement. In fact, the Canadian Federation of Agriculture, also known as CFA, estimates that $500 billion in farm assets, $500 billion, are set to change hands within the next 10 years. Earlier today, all senators received a letter, an email letter, from the Canadian Federation of Agriculture on Bill C-208. In it, they highlighted that more than 95% of Canadian farms are owned and operated by Canadian farm families. At this time, I'd like to quote CFA President Mary Robinson. Quote, "We need to ensure farm families don't have to face an additional tax bill, potentially in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, just for keeping this business in the business in the family." End quote. Unfortunately, not many Canadian youth consider farming or agriculture in general to be a viable career path, especially given the economic red tape that ties it up in taking over the family farm. This means that we could be facing a shortage of producers in coming years. Given that this sector was the only one to experience growth over the course of the ongoing pandemic, and experts anticipate demand will continue growing, I believe we have an obligation to support our youth in agriculture because of the opportunities that this industry has. The opportunities that within this industry are as vast as our country's fields. Honourable colleagues, I don't believe that farmers, fishers, or local small business owners should be penalized if they choose to keep their businesses within the family. We know that it's imperative to invest in our communities today so that we can work to enhance and strengthen our country for tomorrow. I am hopeful that you can see that Bill C-208 will do just that, and that you will support your communities by supporting this bill alongside me. I will leave you with a few questions posed to me recently by a local producer who farms just south of Ottawa. He asked me why Canadian regulations do not treat all businesses and individuals the same and avoid creating a disadvantage for family businesses, including farm families. He noted that his banking institution shared that that family would be in a better fiscal position to sell their half of the farm to a neighbour or an investment group than to a family member. At this time, I would like to echo his sentiments. Is this what we really want for our future farm families? Honourable colleagues, Canadians are watching us and the work we're doing in the Red Chamber. We must act now to help small businesses, family farms, and fishing corporations across this great country. Please join me in supporting the passage of this very important bill. Thank you. Merci. Miigwech.